Hi, it's my pleasure to welcome you to Our Voice. Our Voice is brought to you by the Asian Pacific Islander Alliance and by the Central Valley Asian American Chamber of Commerce. My name is Eiko Yoshikawa. The co-host is Clarence Louie. We're glad to have you tune in. We're really delighted that tonight, as our guest, we have Polly Khieu, and she is the go-to lady with the Cambodian temple. But before we get into information about the temple, Polly, can you tell us about yourself?
I sure can. My name is Polly Khieu, and I was born in Cambodia, and we arrived in the U.S. 1980. And we were sponsored, and we lived in a cold state called Utah. And due to the climate and whatnot and difficulty adjusting, the family, my dad, moved us up to Stockton, California, and we've been here ever since. I attended Lincoln High School, went to Sac State, and I work for the Superior Court of California.
And when you came to the United States, how old were you?
I was 8 years old.
8 years old.
Yes.
And do you remember much about the experience about your first getting settled in the United States? What did you think about it?
I remember it was very hard because at 8 years old it's hard to comprehend that there's a new language you have to learn, new culture, new school, new system, new ways of doing everything.
Wow.
And adjusting to the environment was really, really difficult. And at that time, in the early 80s, people were not very receptive to refugees. They don't understand the difference between refugees and immigration status. They think we just run in here to the United States and snuck in and whatnot. And it was very hard because kids can be mean. And you start in 3rd grade, 4th grade. Kids can be very, very mean to you and just say all sorts of things. And it's very hard to adjust. So it took a long time.
So you came to America from Cambodia at age 8.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably got some really good memories of your homeland, Cambodia.
I do and I don't.
Oh.
For the simple fact that I said I do and I don't. I do remember certain things. A lot of the horrible things that happened during the Pol Pot times, I have it bits and pieces. They said that happened to kids all the time because they blocked out, the event that was unpleasant to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember a lot. I went back to Cambodia a few years ago for the first time. Actually, more than 10, 12 years now. It's the first time I went back, and things wasn't that familiar to me, but like the old home, grandparents' house, and things like that, and that like the memory flooded back, and then I see things and ask questions, and so I just really difficult to see the shatter. It wasn't the things that I remember was intact, like the beautiful house with beautiful things, and all you see now is just stones that just once the big pillar of the house, and the library with everything was destroyed, and the house was bombed basically.
So have they rebuilt?
The house was not rebuilt. It was a family-owned home and on the land. So other people, since we left the country, other people moved into the land and lived there. And it was so funny because when I went there, when they knew who I was, they thought I was going there to reclaim the land and they would have no place to live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in Cambodia, when it's your land, nobody can take it away from you because you own it from generation to generations. So I told them, when I showed them, I said, I have no intent to coming to live here to take it away from you. You can live on the land. You can do whatever you want with it. The land is still in the family's name, obviously, but I'm not coming back to claim anything. So you can.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, but people can come and live on the land.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. Doesn't have to be a relative.
Usually, the relative would live there, but in our case, most of our relatives are dead during the war and whatnot. We have like 1 or 2 family left in on my dad's side, and then they have their own little place.
So I know this isn't our topic at hand, but this just interesting because I didn't know that about the land. So if your daughter, say, wanted to go back to reclaim the land, could she? Or once that other family now is on the property, do they?
She couldn't because she's not a nationality. I am.
Okay.
I have the title. Because when I went back there at a certain age, my parents bequeathed those. So I went back there. One of the reasons I went back there was them signing it over to me if I ever wanted it. But I really have no desire to kick somebody out.
Yeah. You know, the Chinese pretty similar to that. When I went back, my grandparents' home, there's some other people occupying it.
Mhm.
In fact, they invited in to see the house, and they still had a picture of the original homeowner in the house on the walls, you know. And my understanding, you could go back and reclaim it. Well, nowadays, they would like you to come back and reclaim it and try to develop that normalization of any relationship with people, you know, overseas. So it's pretty interesting.
So it's nice to have a home to go to, a land to go home to, but at the same time, I just don't want to displace anybody that they already are.
So when you left Utah, you came directly to California?
Directly to Stockton, actually.
Wow.
So my dad heard, because we don't know a lot about America, you know, been here a year or so, and I was fortunate that my dad can speak English really well and French and amongst other languages. So he's a linguist and very educated, and we're very blessed. That, you know, so he said, okay, well, California weather, he did all his research and whatnot, said, you know, Miami
Miami.
or California. But California won because it's closer, because we didn't have any, by way of, you know, moving, didn't have that much money. Dad just took some little job.
Did you have other family here already?
No, we
No.
don't. We would, what happened during the refugee status is different than immigration. Immigration, you have family here who sponsor you to come to live in America. Refugee, we were displaced by war. And so what happened, we had to leave or be killed. And so somehow we left Cambodia through the jungle and went into Thailand's border. And Thailand, when you go there, you're their prisoner. They set up this camp. They call one of the camp that we stayed at was Cambodian camp. It's a refugee camp. And so it's like a processing center. So people from all over other countries like Australia, France, and America, they have like Catholic charities and things like that would work on behalf of the refugees. And so they set up sponsorship. They would take your picture. I have this picture where I look like I was in prison because you actually, there's like a number they put on your chest and you have to hold it up and, you know, to identify who you are. But it looked like a prison picture, you know, like a mugshot. And what they do is you fill out the application, and then the American or whoever the organization that you apply with, they send that overseas to the country of where that you're applying to, and the churches or different people that are well off or compelled to sponsor someone over will sponsor a family over. They have to provide them, you know, with care. So we got sponsored to come to America, and the process, that whole process itself was tedious and long, and we had to go from, we found out that, you know, we get to leave, you know, the camp, then we have to go to another camp, then we have to end up to a processing center in Malaysia, when we were in the Philippines, then finally, so it was like it's a long process.
A real long
So I
process.
think the whole thing started in late 1978. So we didn't actually arrive to America until 1980.
So 2 years you're going from one
Yeah, from one
refugee
place,
camp to
right,
another.
right.
You
Not
know,
knowing, huh?
Yeah. And
Not
you
know where we were going,
Mhm.
so.